Good morning, everybody. It's Kula Dula from RawStocks. We have another edition of our pre-market prep, and today we have the Jackson Hole meeting, and this is a interesting little setup that we have on the day. Suppression on NVIDIA, bearish look on SPX, and Tesla potentially losing its steam. Let's talk about it. We're going to cover all this. Stick with us. Quick shout out to our sponsors, Blackbox Stocks and GammaEdge. Without those guys, we would not be able to provide this data to you every single day for free. So make sure that you do go support them with the links in my bio. So, all right. Today, we've got a little bit of a setup that everyone needs to be watching. We have... Let me pull the calendar over here. We have JP talking at 9 o'clock. Okay. This is at his meeting. This will be 30 minutes after the open. And then we have Trump speaking about 2 hours after that at 11 o'clock Central. So that's going to be a volatile little setup there. We don't know exactly what he's talking about. But you never know with Trump. So, watching these 2 times to really be a market mover. Okay. So 30 minutes after, and that'll be about 2.5 hours into the market right there. So keep an eye on that. All right. So we're watching currently. There's a few levels you need to watch as far as the daily chart here. That is going to be 63.93, 64.06, 63.81, and 63.43. Okay, so yesterday we had a little bit of an inside day here, and we actually closed underneath our daily 20 here, showing a little bit of weakness. However, today, like I said, brings some volatility. So for people who look for trend trading, today's a deciding point, in my opinion. We can see all the way down towards 6,300 and our daily 50. I think that has a possibility of getting hit. I thought it had a possibility of getting hit yesterday, but we did hold. We saw a large position get put in to SPY, and we're going to cover over that now. All right, so let's take a look at the data real quick. What are we looking like on SPY? So there is a massive position here at 635. This is going to be the pivot of the market here, okay? So 635 is the pivot of the market. So what that means is when we look at SPX here, virtually yesterday's low, all right, is going to be the pivot. And I don't know why I didn't have that one highlighted, but we're going to mark it up. That is your pivot right there on the market. If we start to make a move under that, you know that it's game time and probably aiming for 6,300 or lower. All right. You know that's the case based on what we're seeing with SPY's positioning there. But you also know that that is an area where buyers are going to step into, bulls will step into to try to preserve this level. So if you're looking to go long, it was off 635 for a move up towards 650. But if you are, or if you're bearish, you really want to see this get under 635 for an attempt down towards 6,200 over the upcoming days. So, all right, let's look at SPX here. All right, so full complex here. We still remain call dominated. However, it is not by much. You can tell that we still have our large position up here at 6,500. And then we have some actual targets to the downside like 6,300. That's on the full complex. When you look at today, you're going to see a large slide here. We're put dominated for the day. So there's going to be a sentiment early that this is going to sell down towards 6,350. That was I think the overnight low as well, right near there. So will we make a move back down towards it? Well, it depends, right? So if we remain under 6,400, for me, that is a definite indicator that we're likely to make our way back down towards 6,350. But this is all going to shift based on what we're seeing. But with JP, so let's look at our intraday chart real quick. This is virtually how we have it set up. It's almost the exact same as yesterday. Okay. So as we approach into this flip here at 6,400, we're going to be watching this as a pivot point. This is our pivot point. 63.95 is the breakdown here to start getting into that bearish territory, and 6,400 really remains towards that upside. So use this as a pivot on the daily. And then use this as your pivot for long term right here, 63.50 here. If we see a crack underneath there, then you know it is, or excuse me, 63.70, the flip right here. We'll mark this out with a purple. Yeah, we'll mark that out as a purple. That's going to be an indicator that we're likely to see some downside based on SPY. However, we do have a floor built here at 63.50 on SPX. So keep an eye on both these areas here for some potential buyers to be stepping in. And if we do see it crack below there, know that it's very bearish and we're likely to continue selling down towards 6,300. However, to the upside, we are looking at potentially 64.30 and 64.35 to the upside. If we do crack through this, that expands us today towards 64.30, which is right here. So keep an eye on this right here. Okay, so nice move over the top of this would drive us into that. You have to be careful. We have a couple closes right here. So you will see some potential resistance right here at the top of this gamma support before we really flip. Realistically, it's probably right here. You got to be careful in that area. That's going to be a tricky area, as we have, like I said, an open and a close right here, right on top of our positive gamma support. So be careful you don't see a slip above this if we do get up in this range and then quickly get below this, especially if we lose 6,400 and 63.95 here. That's a good short. Looking to protect this high, looking to protect really the positive gamma support, and see if we want to drive this thing back down towards yesterday's close and potentially lower. Okay. All right, let's take a look at NVIDIA here. NVIDIA has a really interesting read. Okay. This is probably the worst read I've seen in some time for NVIDIA. And it's coming off of seeing one of the best, let's just put it that way. It's the best read that we've seen in quite some time for the overall look of it. When you look at the overall, call dominated, very much to the upside, a lot of speculation to the upside here. But on the week, we have what I would consider a suppressed look. So we're looking at 172 and 170. There's overhead shorts on it. So it looks as if it's almost pinned here. I wouldn't expect this to get over the top of, say, 177 and a half. I would not imagine seeing that here. So if we do make our way up here, this is probably a good short for it to settle back down towards this 172 and a half. It will use this, in my opinion here. Like I said, this is going to be some protection as a potential buy zone. Bulls will step into this zone looking to hold 170, trying to get it to push up. But I think with the amount of overhead shorts here, I think it's likely to be pinned between 172 and a half and 170 today. But if we do get that bounce off of that area, watch out, because that could be fast and push up towards, say, that 177 and a half. Realistically, NVIDIA is not on my list to trade today based on that data. Tesla's full complex here is call dominated. So sentiment leans bullish. We have a nice split here at 322 and a half for a potential upside push. There are some overhead shorts in this, but not anything super significant that you need to worry about. We remain positive in our net GEX here. So gamma exposure is bullish here. And then once we get below 320, then that's when we could start to see some larger selling on Tesla. So let's flip over the Tesla chart. We have a containment between 330 and 320 based on what we're seeing here. Okay. So if we're going off of full complex view, that looks like people want to buy it right here at 320 and look to drive this thing up to 330, excuse me, and potentially further. So based on the data that we're seeing here, so this looks decent for a move to the upside, maybe a potential swing if we see that this thing turns bullish. I would not be against opening, say, some 340s, 350s, 340, 350 calls, somewhere in that range for a couple weeks out and see if this thing wants to rise up towards those levels. All right. Get below 320, it could get really hairy really quick. All right. Just because that is a pivot point for the full complex and for our weekly. But it is they're going to try to hold up 320. I just don't know if it has the juice in it with the expected early move for me. The expected early move for SPY here, and this is not right, but we're virtually opening up near these highs here. Okay, so that puts us right here in this 63.90 area. If you remember that our flip turns right here at 63.95, so I wouldn't be surprised to see an early move up and then potentially drive us back down and maybe find a bounce off of these levels down here. Okay. If we slip straight through these levels, then that is something you need to be monitoring, and that could turn the market red. Okay. All right. So that's covering it for today. I want to talk about our promo that we have going on. Okay. That is a 7-day for $7 promo. It is a non-subscription based. You can join it at RawStocksLLC.com or go directly to WAP.com/RawStocks. I have links in the bio for you to go visit that and take advantage of that promo that we have going on. Otherwise, we also have a free limited. You can come and join. You can get access to the pre-market prep video that you're watching now before the market opens. We release this to everybody that's in the Discord, on the live in the Discord. If you're not interested in in the premium, you still get access to this. So no big deal. So just wanted to throw that out there. You guys make sure you subscribe, like, and share this, and it's greatly appreciated. And until next week, we'll catch you later.